And we're back with another edition of the Orlando Solar Bears PuckCast. Yours truly, Jesse Liebman, here alongside Solar Bears defenseman Cody Donahue and Alexander Kukali. Guys, thanks for joining us. Good to have you back on the PuckCast once again.
Thanks for having me.
Happy to be here.
Well, we got a lot to get to. Stuff going on in the world of the Solar Bears, hockey world at large, and some other stuff as well. So let's get right to it. First of all, let's break down last week. Kind of an interesting road trip for the Solar Bears. A lot of miles, a lot of travel, a lot of hours on the bus. And unfortunately, Orlando unable to come away with any wins last week, heading up to, Florida first, then heading all the way up to Atlanta, and back to Jacksonville, back home. But I guess we saved the best for last. A big win over the Norfolk Admirals on Sunday afternoon, and probably couldn't have come at a better time for the team.
Yeah, not the start we wanted to, and unfortunately lost a couple bodies along the way from either call-ups or just the nature of the game. But thankfully we were able to salvage at least 2 points on Sunday, so that was good.
I don't remember the schedule being this bad last year.
No,
that was a tough weekend this past weekend.
We've done it a couple times. It's normally the South. The good thing about it is you're usually going, if you're like, the Florida teams are going up north and you kind of play like Atlanta, SoCo, maybe Greenville. But this year it seems like we're going like zigzag. Like we went down to Florida, up to Atlanta, back down to Jax. We were home. Sometimes we've gone to like South Carolina too, and like Jesse said, you just put a ton of miles on. The recovery is kind of tough because you got about 30 minutes and then you got to get on the bus and do it all over again.
Oh. Yeah, it's brutal, man.
Guys dropping like flies. I think I even got sick. I had to go see the team doctor earlier this week. Shot me up with a steroid, gave me a couple of antibiotics. I had a flare up yesterday. I was beat red. I was beat red. Everyone's like, "Hey, are you okay?" Like, I was beat red and face, chest. I was
get
panicking.
the old meds in you. Just get the old medicine. Alka-Seltzer Plus. My dad swears by it.
I've never had a steroid injection before, and the nurse is like, "Oh yeah, this might hurt in about 20 seconds. You might feel like a tingling sensation." And 20 seconds go by, and it felt like someone just put a red hot poker to my shoulder.
Yeah.
I felt I was going to pass out.
Oh,
that's wild.
At least you didn't have to do it on your rear end.
Well, she gave me the choice, and I'm like, shoulder.
Oh, a she nurse. It was a she nurse. All right.
She gave me the choice. She gave me the choice. She said, "All right, would you like it down there or shoulder?" I'm like, "Let's just shoulder. Let's keep it that simple."
Keep it PG.
Yes, exactly.
Jesse's on the roids. Love that.
I'm skin and bones, so it doesn't really look like I'm on steroids, let's be real. But, of course, a pretty big week for you. You hit the 200-game milestone in your career, so a little golf clap right there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just shows my age now.
I'm still older than you.
Nah, just by a little bit, Jesse, not that much.
I'll take it.
It's hopefully we're obviously wanted to win there, but yeah, 200 games. It's been a while. Just thinking about my career, couldn't have done it with a lot of good trainers and a lot of good teammates taking care of me and keeping me as healthy as I can, and especially down here. I've always said playing in Orlando I think is one of the best spots just because of the facilities we have at RDV and at Amway. It's just they really give you everything you need to stay as healthy as you can, and I still got some juice left in the tank, so hopefully I'm not done yet.
Yeah,
well,
there you go.
Enough. You were able to get a couple of goals last week. You got a score correction, I should add. You were the last to touch the puck on a goal for the Solar Bears on Friday down in Atlanta.
Oh, did you get that after?
I guess so. Yeah.
Retroactively, yeah. We took a look and took a look
Langer,
at the replay.
Trying to grease one off at the
I didn't ask for it, but Jesse is a thorough man. He does his job well, and he gave us a text, and I said, I backhanded it, went up in the air, and then I'm pretty sure the guy kicked it in or something like that.
Yeah, off a body, off a stick. So, but we want to make sure we get it right. So,
yeah, but you know what? I'll take the win. Anytime over any goals. But it's nice to pot a couple.
Yeah, and then of course you're in some pretty distinct company. Sunday afternoon, you get 2 shorthanded goals in the second period. Ties the team record.
Yeah.
With Ryan Reeves, no less.
Yeah, very rare to score one goal.
Man, yeah, that's wild.
2 goals, and they were both shorties. But I think we do have a pretty strong penalty kill. I think that's been one of our strengths since I've been down here. We're pretty aggressive, and thankfully we have forwards who might not just ice it. Like I said to you the other night, if we have the space, we can make some plays. I'm pretty sure we're leading the league.
Short-handed goals, 14 or 15.
Are we really?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's,
Nice.
it's
I did
14.
not know that.
Our record, and we set the record for the team in its 7-8 year history last year. We had 15 short-handed goals last year. We're now one off, and we still got, 18, 17 games remaining?
Yeah. Is that what it is? 17 or 18 games left?
Something like that.
Nice. I wasn't sure how many we had left.
There's some. It's all starting to blend together. I'm forgetting.
Man. Yeah, even trying to remember some games, man. It's like
well, we were joking about that. In Atlanta, I think we were trying to figure out how many games, and we were like 20 or something. We were like, holy cow, we don't have that much time left.
Yeah, that's especially February. February is like a blur. Like what we have 15 games in a month or something.
Yeah, it's like a 1 for 1.
Right. Yeah, which is that's unheard of, man.
That was like
15 games in a month is nuts.
That was like our March last year, where you just, like you said, it just blends together. You don't even know what day it is. I mean, you're traveling, and then it's a game day, except it's like in the middle of the week. And we play a 3-3, and then we have a 6-8 coming up.
Yeah, it's
3-3, and then like Tuesday, Thursday, I think, something like that. And yeah, it's just wild. So
yeah, I think we're 3-3 this weekend, off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we got to drive back to Atlanta for a game Friday. So our off day Thursday is going to be a 7-hour bus trip.
Get your water in you. Yeah.
Well, we talked about Kooks finding the back of the net. You yourself, a power play goal chipping in last week against the Everblades, and again, unfortunately, the Solar Bears came out on the losing side of that one to Florida at the start of that road trip. But for you, we've talked a little bit. You and I have had some conversations for the broadcast coverage of the games, some of the struggles you've had this year. But now it seems like the points are finally starting to settle in, and certainly you'll take the standings points more so than individual scoring accolades any day of the week. But how much of a relief is it to finally start seeing the puck fill the back of the net for you?
Yeah, for sure. And especially, I have been fighting it a little bit this year. The puck hasn't been going in for me as much as it was last year, obviously. But I think that's something every player goes through, and it's something that you just need to kind of keep working hard and working through it. And just trying to find other ways you can to help the team win, which is huge, obviously. But yeah, it's definitely nice to see a couple go in every now and then.
And that was a rocket, by the way.
Well, let's break that down, because the one thing that I think stands out more so than anything else in this locker room, especially now where we have players coming in and out, and the dust still hasn't even settled, I think, on some of the roster moves that the team has to make this week, just to fit everyone in under the roster limitations and cap and call-ups, injuries, what have you. There are so many different tape jobs that guys have with their sticks, but you, my friend, have the most insane. I've never seen anything quite like it. And for fans here, we don't have the luxury of having these players' sticks on a rack next to us on camera. But Donahue here has probably the most out-of-whack tape job for the shaft of his stick. And please describe it, or Kooks. I mean, you've seen it as well. Maybe you can do it justice better than I can.
Well, I can give it like a little breakdown. Like for me, I'm just like a meat and potatoes guy, so I just put some white tape on top, wrap it around like 5 times, and then a little bit of like purple grip tape. Diddy though, he's got something interesting. He like wraps it, and I think you go down by 2, right?
Yeah,
don't
every
you start
time.
Start with like 20?
Yeah. Well, no. So I used to start at 20, and then this year I went up a little bit because I want to make it a little bit bigger. So it's like you're holding like almost like the bottom of like a tennis racket. You know what I mean? But that's
exactly what it looks
a little
like,
bit
a tennis
thicker,
racket.
Yeah, it's kind of what it's like. But yeah, I go around 24 times, 22, 20, 18, 16. So then every single time I break a stick, like it feels the same in my hands. That's something that I'm superstitious about my sticks, but yeah. So if I break one, I'm coming to the bench. It feels the exact same, not like, because I know the tape job is the same on every single stick.
So where did that originate, though? Because I've seen guys in the locker room, they tape their sticks a certain way, both the blade and the shaft, but the tape job that you've done on your stick, on the shaft in particular, where exactly like you said, it looks like a tennis racket. Where did that come from? Was that something that you kind of picked up from another teammate in seasons past, or was that self-taught?
No, it was. I seen. Well, it wasn't exactly like that when I seen it, but it was in junior when I was playing in Quebec City. Adam Ernie, actually, he just got traded to Detroit this year. He used to do one that was kind of cool, but I think he used to start at like 10 maybe, and then just go down and only do like 3 of them. or something instead of 5. But yeah, I don't know. Just kind of, I thought it looked kind of cool, and then as I started using it, I don't know, I was just able to shoot the puck hard with it, and I liked it. So I've kept it, and then it keeps growing over the years.
I mean, have you seen his shot? I mean, I might start doing it too. I don't know, buddy. I got a little muffin from the point. I'm not ripping lasers like this guy over here. I didn't know he played with Ernie either. I played with him in juniors.
Really?
In Indiana before he went to the Q.
Yeah. I played with him in Quebec City for what? He was there the 2 years I was there, or no? Yeah, and then he was gone at 20. He didn't play, so he was there for the 2 years I was. Yeah,
I played with him when he was 15. He was like 5'11", 210 pounds. I was like, who is this freaking monster?
Yeah, he is a monster, man. He used to destroy some guys in junior.
I don't doubt it.
Well, it's definitely something I don't think I could ever replicate, but hats off to you for making it work. So,
yeah, thanks.
I mean, other than Donnie, of course, who probably in your mind has maybe the most out of whack tape job in the locker room that you've seen come through this season?
I know Fitzy uses kind of like a unique one the way he does it. I've seen other guys do it on past teams, whatever. But so what he does is like. He starts with Pro Wrap, which is something that you'd put like on a body part before you taped it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's kind of squishy. So he'll do that a bunch of times, just till I guess whenever's comfortable, and then he'll just put white hockey tape around the whole thing. So his knob is kind of like mine's hard. His is
yeah, it's like squishy. Yeah,
no, you know what I mean.
What
it's weird the way he does it. I don't think I'd be able to use it, but he likes it. So.
He's got a pretty hard shot too. Maybe these guys are onto something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Just double up the orders of tape. Just got to increase that tape order for next year. Maybe.
Budget. We'll up the budget. We'll talk to Jerry.
Yeah, get Jerry. Get the voice more tape.
Other than that, outside, we'll come back to some of the games this week upcoming for the Solar Bears. But in the NHL, some pretty big news this past weekend. Alex Ovechkin becoming just, 7th or 8th player in NHL history to crack 700 goals. And I mean, did you ever think that we'd see someone do that again in our lifetime?
No, I mean, they're talking about him breaking Gretzky's record, and I saw a couple of videos of him, and he was, welcoming it, which is good, because, like you said, it's good for the sport of hockey.
I agree.
No one thought that there would even be close, but, I mean, you see him, and he just keeps producing. It's insane. How many hat-tricks did he have that one week?
Man.
He had, 3 hat-tricks or something like that.
Always something else. I think he might do it, too, and you can tell those Russians, man, they love playing hockey, and they just got Kovalchuk now, too. But I think if Ovechkin sits on that spot on the power play for the next, he needs, I think it's 6 years at 35 a season, depending on what he gets this season or something like that.
Well, Gretzky's career numbers for regular season, 894. That's the record that he's got to get to. So he scored 701 last night. So he's got, 193 to tie.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Like Donnie said, no, but I mean, that's a guy that as he progresses, you might not need him playing the minutes that he is now. You could just sit him on the power play.
Yeah, exactly.
Put him at the top of the circle. Who's going to stop it? I mean, guys don't even get in the way to block it anymore because they just want the goalie to see it, and he still snipes them.
It's crazy, man.
It's nuts. Well, this is the thing, and maybe you guys can explain it better than I can, because I've never played at a high level. My presence in the sport is restricted to up on the press box describing what the heck you guys are doing. So
I don't know. We've seen you skate. You got something.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. But with respect to Ovechkin, players like him, the guy is known for just the one-timers at the top of the left circle. How the heck is it that 10-plus years into his career, no one's been able to stop him?
I mean, it's hard because that team has so many weapons, and hockey's not a sport where you can really key in on one guy, because if you just have someone sit on him, well, then
it opens up everyone else.
Now it's a 4-on-3, right? And their power play is ridiculous anyway. You got Backstrom and all those other guys.
Backstrom, Carlson,
and now Kovalchuk,
Kuznetsov, TJ Oshie in front, Ovechkin on the one time.
So it's if you're not hitting Ovi, you got Oshie in the front, because that's all, like you said, all those. Yeah, right. It's what do you want? Pick your poison. Basically, you just got to hope that either they miss their shots or you just don't even let them get up in the zone. But it's so hard because it's not like any other sport where you can really kind of focus on one guy, because, like you said, it'll just open up everything else, and then you're kind of leaving your goalie out to dry. So
Of course,
maybe give him the shot.
The other big news, I think, that kind of overshadowed Ovechkin hitting 700 this weekend. David Ayers, the emergency backup goaltender for the Toronto Marlies, he's the Zamboni driver at the Marlies practice facility, and he does sometimes spot practice duty for the AHL team. But he's thrusted into emergency backup role with the Carolina Hurricanes. They were in Toronto to play the Maple Leafs. And he ends up becoming the first emergency backup goalie to actually get credited with a win.
Yeah, man, that was they ended up beating him 6-3 or something.
Yeah,
right?
it was 6-3.
And how long did he actually play? He came in for the third.
He came in for the midway through the second period, so he played the majority of the game.
Man, that's nuts.
Both goalies for Carolina got hurt. It was James Reimer, I think, to start, and then Peter Mrazek came out to challenge a puck error and got
really
just massacred.
He tried to play the puck, but it was at the top of the circle. It was pretty far, and he just got bowled over. It was what do you think? And then it was funny because they were talking about, how do you say his name? Ayers, Ayers, getting on, and he got scored on by Tavares or whatever, and
Nylander, I think.
Yeah, and one of the D came over to him, and it was just hey man, we don't care if you give up 10 goals, just have fun. And then he was he said he just got calm after that, and then he actually made up some six saves.
6 or 8 saves the rest of the way, and
right in the slot too. And it was great.
Yeah.
And we had Scott Foster come in for the Chicago Blackhawks a couple of years back. I think that was last season. Didn't get credit with the win, but he made all 7 saves that he had to. And the funny thing is, I've seen in the days that have followed David Ayers, he's been embraced by the Carolina Hurricanes organization. They did David Ayers Day. They flew him down. I think last night they have a loud horn or something that they have celebrities kind of ring for pregame, so they had him involved in that. They started selling T-shirts of his jersey number like crazy.
I've seen that too.
He's a kidney transplant survivor, so they're sending some of the proceeds from the T-shirts to that. Awesome story all around, but I think some people were also kind of trying to bring the moment down. I think Brian Burke was making some waves.
I see the
saying,
other side of it too.
Really? If you're the Leafs, you get embarrassed by an emergency backup goaltender. I like the idea. I like the concept. How often do you see that in any other sport where essentially just a regular civilian is able to come in off the street and get involved in a major league game? I mean, you guys are hockey guys, so you tell me. What do you feel about it? I mean, there's two sides to it, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool that he can kind of come in and actually play a game. I mean, it is pretty rare that you see 2 goalies go down. I mean, but what we've seen it 2 years in a row now where an emergency backup has came in and been a big deal. But I don't know how I feel about it, man. I seen some guys saying if the Dallas Cowboys got a couple of quarterbacks hurt or whatever, are they just going to walk down the road and see who can throw a football really fair?
Right. I saw it was the comparison of NHL to an NFL game. What would that be?
Yeah, which is wild to think about because it's kind of true.
I mean, 2 pretty important positions, a quarterback and a goalie. I mean, it's your kind of your first line of offense and your last line of defense.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. I mean, I think Matthews was talking about when the goalie in that situation gets put in, your first thought is to just shoot.
Yeah.
So you might actually be gripping the stick probably a little bit more because you're thinking I can just score, but you're just rushing plays instead of just playing the way you would on anyone else. So I mean, it's a mental thing, but I think it's a great story all around. That just doesn't happen that often for him to get that win and have the celebration he has. Good on him.
It doesn't happen too often in the NHL, but it happens quite frequently in the ECHL. A couple of years ago, the Solar Bears, this was before my time, but our assistant equipment manager that was working under Adam Dexter, I think during the second season, had to come in relief during the third period. I guess a goalie had been called up, so they had him on the bench as the emergency backup. And from what Dex told me, so the kid comes in after whoever the starting goalie was started cramping up or whatever. Kid comes in with about 10 minutes remaining in the third period, makes all the saves that he has to. They hang on, they get the win. The win gets credited to the other goalie. But everyone's celebrating. They're fired up. I think the kid's name was Micah. They're all celebrating for Micah in the locker room afterwards. And Dex goes, "All right, you done celebrating? All right, we've got work to do. Here we gotta get these jerseys, back to RDV and get them washed and get your gear off. Let's go.
Bring him back down." No. I mean, I've had a couple emergency goaltenders. None of them played, but they're you get some funny characters. That's all I'll say. So I mean, you get some men's leaguer guys. When I was in Florida, we had a 45-year-old guy come in, and it's just funny, because it's at that point you're just having fun, and you actually end up playing better. And
Keeps guys loose.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it works
true.
out, sometimes it doesn't, but it's just those are like the memories and the funny things that you'll take with you when you're done playing. Like, you don't remember every game, all the good, all the bad, but it's like funny things like that you can carry on.
Yeah.
Well, you guys seem to be humming in practice this morning with Mikey in net. So for the viewers at home, Solar Bears have going through a bit of a goaltending flux right now. So athletic trainer Mike DeGatano, who has played some puck back in his day, donned the pads and went in net. Clint Windsor obviously in goal for the Solar Bears at the opposite end of the ice, but you need 2 goalies for practice when you're going through line rushes. So how'd Mikey hold up? What's the assessment
Mikey
there?
Mikey was actually pretty
he
good.
Actually did pretty good. He's like square, you never know, and he's not the type of guy that I think would dog it either. So I think he was definitely trying to put on a good show.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
I definitely wasn't shooting high. I know someone else might have been.
Oh yeah, I was chirping Mikey all morning, telling him I was coming at him high and hard the whole day.
He was ripping him, but nothing bad. It was just like upper chest, But I thought he did pretty well considering we had a pretty hard practice. So
we did have hard practice today, man.
Yeah. That was a battle, but that's normally the MO. Like, couple days, obviously we have our games and everything, but we at least get one of those a week, and I think it just keeps us honest and
I agree. Yeah,
tries to get us to play the way we should, and we have success when we do. So, but you need one of those every once in a while. It can't all be sunshine and rainbows. You got to put the work in.
Yeah, man, I fully agree with that for sure.
Well, the work's definitely going to be put in this weekend. Solar Bears with another busy set of games head out tomorrow afternoon for Duluth, Georgia, taking on the Atlanta Gladiators Friday, and then it's a quick turnaround, taking on the defending Kelly Cup champs, the Newfoundland Growlers, on Saturday. Your hometown team, so I guess a hometown team would be appropriate. St. John's, Newfoundland,
for sure.
where you're from. So you've never played for the Growlers, of course, but last year you had a chance to go up there, and I think they had you do the ceremonial puck drop for one of the games, being the hometown kid.
Yeah,
so.
they did. Yeah, no,
yes.
that was unreal going there. That was so this last year was my 7th season away from home. So it was my first time being able to go home and play in front of a big number of family and friends, and we played 3 games there too, which is real nice. But yeah, obviously, that was the first thing I checked when this year's schedule came out, if we were going to go back to Newfoundland. But it's also nice to see them come to us, because I still have a couple real good buddies on that team, and they're pretty excited to get out of the snow for a bit with the storm that we had down there. But yeah, it's going to be fun to play against them on Saturday night.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, Sunday against Florida. So pretty busy weekend for the Solar Bears. Saturday, of course, though, particular attention. We've kind of ignored the elephant in the room here. These absolutely fire jerseys that you guys are wearing right now for Hockey Fights Cancer Night. So
these things are sick.
I think you two are the first to actually model them of our players. I think a few guys have seen them kind of poking out of the box, but
right.
What are your guys' thoughts? I think they look pretty sharp. I think the hot pink, electric pink, whatever you want to call it, I think it definitely pops.
Yeah, we both love them. I was pretty pumped when I saw it.
Me too.
I like the color scheme, and like Donnie said, just like the kind of black and white logo. I think it's a lot cooler. And normally, like the Cancer jerseys are like just maybe like pink and white. It's nice to see it mixed in with the black. I think it just kind of brings everything out. Like you said, the pink more, but I love them.
And especially with the black helmets and gloves and stuff too. I think it's going to look real good.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be pretty pumped.
Well, for you, Alex, I know it's kind of a personal story, but your mother diagnosed with cancer over the summer. It's been certainly a shock for you, I guess, when you found out. But you've spoken to the media before about this and about this journey that you and your family have been on. Your mom's going to be down here Saturday. I mean, what are going to be some of those emotions that you're going to be going through?
No, it's going to be pretty cool. I'm happy that she's going to be able to come down and experience it. And obviously the Solar Bears have been so warm and welcoming and helpful in any aspect that I've ever needed. And my mom loves watching the games. Like, she's got the package this year, and obviously, like, whether she's doing treatment or anything, she's always got the laptop out, so it'll be cool. It's always more fun when she's able to come and watch the games in person, and she loves Amway, and it's always rocking, and we're on a 4-game home streak right now, so we just want to keep that rolling. But it'll be really cool, and I love playing in front of my family. Anyone, like my brother's come down a couple times, but especially for this weekend for my mom, I think it'll just kind of bring everything together, and it'll be a really nice time.
So I guess that would probably be as good a time as any to wrap things up. I mean, looking forward to it's going to be a busy weekend. Three very competitive teams. I mean, Atlanta's still in the playoff hunt. Newfoundland, they're right in the thick of things. I mean, I think they went on a 19-game home winning streak that sets an ECHL record. It recently came to an end.
Oh my God, it's Newfoundland, man.
They'll get you.
They're probably an early favorite. I would say, defending champs, probably an early favorite to maybe threaten to repeat first back-to-back since Allen did in 2016 and 2015 the year before. And then Florida on Sunday. They've been coming along. They're creeping up on South Carolina for that division lead.
Yeah, they're close to them now, hey?
They're pretty close. I mean, right now I think Orlando needs about 30 points to officially clinch a playoff spot as of today. But I mean, that number will drop as teams like Atlanta, Greenville, Jacksonville lose games. But it's gonna be tough down the stretch. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? It seems right now. I mean, knock on wood, things looking good so far.
Yeah, for sure, and that's something that we do have guys who it's their first year pro and type thing, and especially we're bringing in guys now who are just finishing school. But you hear it around the locker room, guys saying back in even in October, November, like it's easier to battle for these points now than it is. It come like you need to win these games to make playoffs. You know what I mean? But I think we're doing okay. I think we're gonna start heating up at the end of the season, kind of coming right into playoffs, just kind of coming right into our own. Once we get some guys back healthy, get some guys sent back down, I think that's going to be key.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're kind of in the thick of things right now, but I think the biggest thing, which I think we do a good job of, is just taking it a day at a time. It's like, today we wanted to have a good practice. I thought we had good energy, good upbeat. Like, just take it into tomorrow. We have a practice and then travel and then just games. So day by day, you can't, obviously we joke around like a 6 and 8. Obviously the schedule's a little goofy, but like we can't do anything about it now. We just have to take care of ourselves. Take care of our bodies, do everything we can, and just go game by game. Because if you start looking too far ahead and trying to do the mathematics, like those are things out of your control.
Right.
All you can do is just take care of yourself, do everything you can for the team, and hopefully the boys just come together like we did last year. We got on a pretty hot streak, so we just want to repeat that.
For sure.
It's cliche to say, but these cliches exist because they're mostly true. Once you get into the dance, anything happens.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And especially even like last year, you see it in the NHL. You know what I mean? St. Louis they were in last place, right?
They were last place in
January 31st or something like that. They were last place. Like, I don't know if that's the right date, but man, it's something. If all you got to do is get there, and then and really anything can happen. I agree with that.
Just like Columbus taking out Tampa Bay,
yeah,
all that, and
crazy.
Especially with me playing collegiate hockey, like. Once we made it into the tournament, like we beat the number 1 seed. We were the first team to ever do that at RIT, and
go Tigers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's like a 16 beating a number 1. Where you have guys signing NHL deals after, and our guys aren't even signing anywhere. But it's like you said, you just got to get in, and then anything can happen. So we just got to get there and just take it 2 points at a time.
Well, we've got just about over a month and a half, or just under a month and a half before the regular season comes to a close. But for Cody Donahue, for Alexander Kukali, this is Jesse Lehman. This has been the latest edition of the Orlando Solar Bears PuckCast. Solar Bears on home ice Saturday night for Hockey Fights Cancer Night presented by Zymo Print. Also the inaugural Orlando Solar Bears Food Festival out on Church Street a couple hours before that game.
There you go.
Should be fun. And then Sunday afternoon taking on the Florida Everblades. Good slate of home games coming up, and certainly make sure if you don't have your tickets for these games, visit the Orlando Solar Bears website, orlandosolarbearshockey.com, Amway Center box office, or Ticketmaster.com. It's going to be a pretty big race to the finish, but hopefully you guys are going to be in the hunt with us and the fans as well, so we thank you for tuning in. Until next time, this has been the Orlando Solar Bears PuckCast.